good morning, everybody. Happy Thursday. It is Thursday, and that means I am here with you to talk about something interesting. Well, it is definitely important. I don't know if it's going to be interesting, but it is extremely, extremely important. Okay. How are taxes and immigration related to each other? What is the big deal? Why is this a very stressful time for our clients and ourselves? And by stressful, I mean tax season. One, you have to understand, yes, we are immigration law. Yes, we do deal with taxes a lot because it is a big part of immigration, but we are not accountants. We're not tax advisors. We cannot tell you what, how, why to file. But there are certain things that we do know and we do tell you. Okay. Number one, let's take the most common scenario. You are married to a US citizen, the US citizen is filing for you. And you've been together for 3 years, and in the last 3 years, you have been married. If you're married, you cannot be filing as the head of household. That is the most popular question. I cannot speak to the tax advantages of filing head of household, but I know for a fact, even though I am not an accountant, that you cannot be filing as head of household if you're living with your spouse in the same house, in both of your filing as head of household. That is not going to help your immigration case. That is going to hurt your immigration case. That is going to raise a question. If you're the head of household, then you're not married. Because if you look at the tax code to file as head of household, you have to meet certain requirements. And being happily married and living with your spouse is not one of them. Okay? The acceptable filings are jointly married or married filing separately. And you can discuss with your tax advisor which option is better for you. Okay. Number two, it is not appropriate to ask an immigration attorney, how much taxes do I need to show? You're supposed to show whatever you've made in United States, whether you got paid on cash or whether you got paid by check or whether the taxes were taken out, whether you're a 1099 or a W-2, you're supposed to declare your taxes. Next, I've been here for 20 years. I've paid my taxes. What can you do for me? I hate the answer. I know it doesn't make anybody feel good, but this is the truth. I have to level with you. If you work in the US, it is your legal obligation to pay taxes. You have to because you've made income here and you've derived benefit by driving on the roads, by sending your kids to school, by using public transportation. Okay, so you have to pay taxes on the income you've earned in the United States. But paying taxes does not give you any immigration benefits. They are not related. The opposite is true. If you're seeking immigration and benefits in United States, applying for asylum, applying through marriage, bringing somebody from overseas, the judges and the immigration office want to see that you file taxes. For certain types of filings, like when you're bringing a loved one, you have to show that you make enough to provide a life for that person, to make sure that the person comes here and doesn't apply for benefits right away. Okay. Yes, technically, the IRS and the USCIS are different agencies. Technically, they do not talk to each other. I wish they did, but they don't. But if you're married and you're filing for your wife, there is a big problem submitting taxes that says that both of you are the head of household in the same household. You're not. You can't be the head of household because you're married and you have children together. So we do make certain clients of ours go back and amend their taxes. And yes, it does create fees. It does create sometimes you have to pay penalties, you have to pay back taxes, but you need to make your decisions. Do you want a refund or do you want to continue with your immigration case? And oftentimes you can't do both at the same time because they are incompatible with each other. I'm not doing this because of a personal vendetta. I'm not doing this because I somehow wish harm financial upon your family. I'm doing this because it's the law and I have to. My job and why you hired us is to do the immigration case for you. So, in order to do that, we have to advise you as to how best to proceed. If you're sponsoring your spouse and you do not make enough money, you can get a co-sponsor. Absolutely, 100%. We do it all the time. No problem. But if you're sponsoring your husband, your children, your parents, your brother, your sister, and you haven't filed taxes in the last 5 years, you do have to explain why you didn't, how you've been supporting yourself. Yes, you can use a co-sponsor, but before you use a co-sponsor, the immigration does make you explain to them your financial situation and why you haven't filed taxes. And if your taxes show $10,000 and you live in New York City, they do ask you to explain how. Not all the time, but a lot of the times they do. When you go to seek asylum and you go in front of an immigration judge, it is a fact that there are judges who will look at your taxes and say, you need to go back and make these taxes believable. Because when you're submitting taxes for a family of four on $10,000 living in New York City, I mean, the judge also lives in New York City and they understand what is believable, what is not. Okay. What is reasonable, what is not. There are circumstances, and we have had them when people are filing and they do rely on their loved ones. Or, for example, we've had people who live in religious institutions, right? We've had students who come here and there are, Orthodox churches that provide shelter. If you're low income, you're able to live there or like for a subsidized fee. We've had other religious people who work for the church and therefore live there and, they get food provided to them. So they de facto don't actually make any money. But if that is the case, we're able to explain it to the judge, we're able to explain it to the immigration, and that is not the problem. You not making money or you relying on other people for financial support is not a problem. But if the judge suspects or if the US government suspects tax fraud, they will dig. They will dig, they will dig, and they can deny. They can. It's in their power. When you have been living here in United States and you are seeking an immigration benefit and they're asking you to provide taxes, paying your taxes is part of good moral character. Not paying taxes is part of not having good moral character because as a person residing in the country and deriving benefits and making money, you are obligated to pay taxes. So that's my little spiel for the day. The reason it's important is because in the last 3 days, we've got maybe 25 phone calls. I'm sitting in my tax preparer's office. How much money do I need to show? The answer to that question is, has, and always will be whatever you've made, that's what you're supposed to declare. Okay, so that when it comes to taxes. Another important thing is the big development. Not development, this has been happening for a while, but a lot of the embassies overseas, when we're processing immigrant visas for people have to go to interviews, a lot of the times the embassy will request not only taxes, they will request IRS transcripts. So they want to see that taxes have not just been prepared, they want to see that they've been received and processed by the IRS. Same thing comes to citizenship. They do check. They do want to see that you've paid taxes for whatever your eligibility is, 3 years, 5 years, right? And if you owe money, they want to see that you're paying it. They will check it with the IRS. If you own child support, they do want to see that you've made accommodations and are paying it. So the immigration does check your financial obligations to your children, to your spouse, to the US government, and they do want to make sure that you're paying your fair share. So they do check. There's very limited exception where we can get away with not showing the taxes or not showing that the person has made arrangements to pay back whatever the government determined is owed. That is it for today. I hope it was a little bit informative and answered some of the luring questions of the tax season. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out and we will break it down for you and explain it to you one more time or explain why and how this matters. I hope everybody has a great day. I hope the weather stays amazing. Please feel free to reach out. We are available.